Hello and welcome to IP Study Video Lectures, and today we are going to discuss chapter 13 from grade 8 Social Science, and the name of the chapter is Agriculture. In this chapter, we are going to cover a few important topics like agriculture, a primary activity, factors influencing agriculture, types of farming, major crops, and lastly agriculture development. So now let us have a brief intro of this chapter. So everything we eat, be it rice, be it pulses, be it vegetables, fruits, these all things, they come from the efforts of the farmers. So we can say that it is the farmers who put food on our table. Okay, so what do farmers do? They till the land, they sow the seeds, they harvest crops, and they transport all those harvested crops to factories where it is processed. Okay, and in the factory or raw material, it is transformed into a finished product which we can consume. For example, wheat is milled into flour, or rice is polished, or butter or dairy product is extracted from milk. So all these things happens in factory. Okay, so we can see three type of economic activities is involved in this process: primary, secondary, and tertiary. Okay, so let's have a brief discussion about all these activities. So what are primary activities? So activities that are involved in extraction and production of natural resources, or they are directly related to natural resources like farming, mining, okay, animal rearing. So these are primary activities. On the other hand, we have secondary activities. It focuses on the transformation or converting raw material into finished products. And lastly, we have tertiary activities. These activities do not produce good, but they provide service to support the primary and secondary activities. Okay, for example, transport, communication, and banking. So now let us come to the first topic of the chapter, that is agriculture, a primary activity. So we already know, or we studied, that agriculture is closely related and dependent on the natural environment. Okay, and how is it connected or dependent? Because it involves the practice, or it involves cultivating crops and rearing animals for food and other products. Okay, so we cultivate crops and we rear animals so that we can get some products from them. So it is a fundamental economic activity, okay, that helps to sustain human life. Okay, and if we look at the history of agriculture, it was during the Mesolithic age where humans gradually learned to cultivate crops, and they shifted from hunter and gatherer to cultivating crops. And it was during the Neolithic age that humans started living a sedentary life. Before, they were nomads, they used to move from one place to another. And it was during the Neolithic age where humans started living a sedentary life. They started having permanent settlement where they used to cultivate crops and also rear animals. Okay, since those period, or since those time, agriculture has evolved significantly, and it has become a source of livelihood for large portion of human, or we can say more than half of the world population. So agriculture as a primary activity plays a very important role in sustaining human life. So now let us discuss the second topic, that is factors influencing agriculture. So we should understand the methods and the techniques of farming, the quality and the quantity of cultivated crops, or we can say agriculture production. It varies from region to region. It is not uniform everywhere. And why is that so? Because of various physical and human factors. Okay, so first let us discuss what are the physical factors. Under physical factors, we find factors like climatic conditions, relief, water availability, and soil fertility. So now let us discuss all these factors in detail. So firstly, climatic condition: temperature, moisture, humidity, sunlight. This influences the type of crops grown in a region. Different crops requires different types of climatic condition. Okay, so because of this, agriculture practice, methods, and also production varies from place to place. Second, soil fertility. We all know soil fertility plays a very important role because agriculture production flourishes in fertile soil. Okay, it is very much favorable for agriculture. On the other hand, soil that is barren or arid, it is difficult to cultivate crops there. Okay, so soil composition, nutrient content and drainage capacity, all these affect the health of the soil, which in turn affect the type of crops grown and also the quantity of crops grown. Relief. While discussing relief, we have to understand what is arable land. So what is arable land? Arable land refers to that particular land or area which is under cultivation. Okay, so arable lands means land that is under cultivation. So we see mostly the river valleys or river banks or floodplain. There we find lot of arable land because it is fertile and it supports good agriculture as well as human settlement. On the other hand, mountainous region with rocky terrain and steep slope, we do not find much arable land there because it is very difficult to cultivate crops or practice agriculture there. So as a result, technique, method and production, agriculture production varies from place to place. Lastly, water availability. We know water is very much important for agriculture. As such, access to water sources such as river, lakes, groundwater irrigation and all these other techniques or all the other sources of water actually help in flourishing the agriculture. As a result, agriculture varies from place to place depending upon the sources of water availability. Now come to the human factors. So what are the different human factors? Firstly, labor, market, finance or we can say capital, and lastly tradition. So what is labor as a factor? We all know agriculture requires a huge amount of labor, but it depends upon the technique of agriculture, method of agriculture. Agriculture that is mechanized or where machineries are used, less amount of labor is needed. On the other hand, agriculture where it is labor intensive, huge amount of labor is required. Secondly, market. So once we cultivate a particular crop, it is possible that we get surplus. So we require market to sell this surplus and earn profit, and the profit which we earn is again reinvested in the agriculture process. So this is related to this finance. So the profit which we generate is actually required to improve farm and sustain the process also, because profit which the farmer gain is again reinvested in seeds, fertilizer, machinery and lifestyle. So the cycle continues. Okay, and lastly, tradition. So farmers might not be willing to change their technique or methods of agriculture, and they might adhere to traditional farming method. Okay, so all these human factors and physical factors play an important role in the difference of technique, method and agriculture production in different places of the earth. So now the next topic is types of farming. So we have already discussed that the agriculture that is practiced in different parts of the world depends upon the geographical condition of the area, level of technological know-how or the technology available, availability of labor and demand or we can say market. So depending on all these factors, farming can be classified into two types: subsistence farming and commercial farming. So we'll first discuss the subsistence farming. So what is subsistence farming? So in this type of farming, the farmer and his family is involved in agriculture process. Okay, the labor is the family members of the farmers and all the agricultural produce is actually used by the farmers and his family to sustain themselves. As a result, very little or even no agricultural surplus is there. So the technology that is used is also very primitive, okay, and there is no modern technology there. Also, it is very less possibility that the modern facilities like fertilizers, pesticides are also used. Okay, so this is the subsistence farming, and this is mostly practiced in large scale in large part of Asia and Africa. So now subsistence farming is classified into two types: primitive subsistence farming and intensive subsistence farming. So what is primitive subsistence farming? So in primitive subsistence farming, indigenous communities in remote areas, they normally practice this type of farming. Here the tradition is the agricultural process, or we can say the method of cultivating is very primitive and traditional. Okay, they use traditional tools and technique. Now primitive subsistence farming is again classified into two types: shifting cultivation and nomadic herding. So what is shifting cultivation? Shifting cultivation is mostly practiced by the people living in remote areas and in thick jungle, mostly Amazon basin, Congo basin and Southeast Asia, where the forest is very thick. Here what they do, the people, they clear a patch of forest, they cut the trees, they burn the trees, and the ashes is used as a manure. Okay, so they grow crops like potatoes and all crops that do not require huge nutrient content from the soil. Okay, and they practice agriculture in that particular patch of land for few years, and after few years, when the fertility of the soil of that particular area goes down or decreases, they again move to another place and do the same thing again, clear the forest, burn the forest, and repeat the cycle again. So this is the shifting cultivation under primitive subsistence farming. It is known by different names in different regions, like Zoom in India, Milpa in Mexico, Roca in Brazil, and Ladang in Malaysia. Okay, also it is also known as slash and burn agriculture or bush fallow agriculture. Okay, so this is the shifting farming. Now we have nomadic herding. So in this nomadic herding, it is mostly practiced in semi-arid and arid region. Okay, mostly in Central Asia, Sahara Desert, and parts of Rajasthan and Jammu and Kashmir, because these regions are arid or semi-arid region where the water availability is very less. So here what they do, the pastoral community or clan, they rear animals and they move places from one place to another along with their animals in search of green pastures and water. And why do they herd or rear animals? Because they get many products from animals. Okay, and like if you can see, animals like sheep, goat, yak, all these animals are reared. Why? To get products like milk, meat, hide, wool. Okay, and they also do barter. Okay, they also barter this product of their animal with other commodities. Now the second type of farming under primitive subsistence farming is the intensive subsistence farming. So intensive subsistence farming is mostly practiced in area of high population or areas that is highly populated. Here the land is very small or fragmented. As such, the farmers they use pesticides, fertilizers in order to get maximum output from the particular land. Okay, so hence the name intensive. Okay, and the soil is also fertile. As a result, multiple cropping is also possible in this area. For example, South and Southeast Asia, and if you take the countries China, India, Bangladesh, Vietnam, where rice is mostly produced or cultivated in this method. So this is the subsistence farming and its different classification. So after subsistence farming, let us discuss commercial farming. Okay, so what is commercial farming? So it is a agricultural method or process where crops are grown along with livestock. Okay, and it is sold in the commercial market. Okay, as urban areas grew, it led to specialization of agriculture, leading to the birth of commercial farming. Okay, in commercial farming, huge amount of crop is produced, or we can say a huge agriculture production is there, leading to huge surplus, and this surplus crop is actually sold in the market. Okay, as we can say, the main objective of commercial farming is to earn maximum profit, and commercial farming is highly mechanized. Okay, and we see high technology inputs also in the commercial farming, like machineries, irrigation, fertilizers, transport facilities. So this is the commercial farming with the sole motive of maximizing profit. Now, commercial farming can be classified into 3 different types. First one, commercial grain farming. Second, mixed farming. And third, plantation farming. So, what is commercial grain farming? In commercial grain farming, it focuses primarily in the cultivation of a crop or grain for sale in the market. For example, or wheat or rice or maize. So, in huge tracts of land, maize is cultivated with the aim to have huge surplus production which can be sold in the market and huge profit can be generated from there. Okay, it is highly mechanized with different machineries used as inputs such as tractors, laborers, seeders, harvesters. So all these are used to do the agricultural process like plowing, planting, harvesting, processing the crop. And this type of farming is mostly found in United States, Canada, steppes of Russia, pampas, where huge tract of land is available for cultivation of particular grain. Second, mixed farming. It involves cultivation of various crops along with animal rearing like cow, sheep, goats and poultry. So animal rearing and cultivation of crops goes hand in hand. And this type of farming, where we can find it in eastern USA, Europe, Argentina, Australia, New Zealand and South Africa. Okay. So thirdly, we have plantation farming. So what is plantation farming? It is a type of commercial farming where a single crop is grown in a large scale, or it can be described as large scale farming of a single crop, be it rubber, be it banana, be it coffee. So it is both capital as well as labor intensive. Okay. And one feature is there. In plantation farming, factory and transportation network is very much important because we normally find a factory located close to the plantation area, and in order to harvest and transport the product to the factory, a good network of transportation is also required. Okay, so this is the plantation farming. See here, banana plantation. Okay, large area dedicated to cultivation of a particular crop. So now the next topic is major crops. So we know a variety of crop is required to fulfill our need. Okay, and depending upon the use and the economic importance, crops can be classified into food crops, commercial crops, fiber crops and beverage crops. So firstly, we will discuss food crops. So what are food crops? In food crops, first we have rice. So where is rice normally cultivated? So rice producing countries are China, India, Japan, North and South Korea, Sri Lanka, Egypt, USA. So these are the major rice producing countries in the world. When it comes to India, rice is one of the major food crop of India, and India ranks second in terms of rice production after China. Okay, and if you look at the climatic condition required for the cultivation of rice requires annual rainfall of 125 centimeter and temperature of 23 to 35 degree Celsius. And during its planting season, rice requires huge amount of water. So mostly during the monsoon season, rice is cultivated. If you look at the areas in India where it is cultivated, we have western coastal region, Ganga river basin and also the eastern coastal region where water is available. Okay, and if you look at the rice producing states of India, we have West Bengal, Punjab, Uttar Pradesh. Apart from these important states, we have Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Odisha, Haryana, Bihar. So there are many different states that produces rice in India. Now come to wheat. Wheat as a food crop. So we know wheat is a food crop and it is one of the important staple food crop of India. Okay. Variety of wheat is grown and harvested in different parts of the world as well as in India. If you look at the climatic condition required for cultivation of wheat requires cool and wet climate during the growing season and dry and warm climate during the time of harvest. Okay, when it comes to rainfall, 50 to 75 degree 50 to 75 centimeter is required. That is less than what rice requires. In winter showers can also help in better harvest, but not during the harvesting time. When it comes to soil, clayey alluvial soil is very much favorable for cultivation of wheat. If you look at the countries that tops the wheat cultivation, China, India, USA, Russia, Australia, Pakistan, Canada and Ukraine. So these are the important wheat producing countries in the world. When it comes to India, wheat is traditionally grown in the northwestern part of the country, Punjab and Haryana. They lead in wheat production. Apart from Punjab and Haryana, wheat is also cultivated in other states like Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Bihar, Maharashtra, Gujarat, Karnataka, West Bengal, Uttarakhand and so many other states. So like rice, wheat is also grown in different states of India. So the third food crop is maize. So maize, it is a cereal grain that was first grown in Latin America and from there it spread to different parts of America, then to Europe, and today in different parts of the world maize is cultivated. When we talk about the highest producer, United States produces almost more than half of the total world harvest. So apart from United States, China, Brazil, Mexico, Argentina, France, Indonesia, South Africa, these are the important maize producing countries. In India, typically Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan and other different states, maize is cultivated. So maize is cultivated in different parts of the country. And when we talk about the climatic condition, maize requires warm type of climate because it requires high temperature, high mean temperature is favorable for the cultivation of maize. And maize can be cultivated in 2-3 crop rotation, or we can say seasonal rotation. So this is maize. After maize comes millet. So millet is a collective name given to few crops. And what are these few coarse food grains? Jowar, bajra, ragi and sorghum. So these crops are mostly grown in arid region where the water availability is less and the soil is also less fertile. Okay. When we talk about the countries that produces millet or cultivates millet, India, China, USA, Brazil, Argentina, Nigeria, these are the major millet producing countries in the world. In India, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, where the arid type of climate or relief is there. Millet is produced there or cultivated there. So after food crops, we have commercial crops. In commercial crops, we have sugarcane. So what is sugarcane? Sugarcane is a grass with thick stem. Okay, and it is used as a raw material for production of mostly sugar. And if you look at the climatic condition favorable for growth of sugarcane, fertile soil with temperature of between 20 to 30 degrees Celsius and rainfall between 75 to 100 centimeter. One thing is very important, sugarcane plants, they cannot tolerate frost. That means it cannot grow in region with cold climate. Okay. Now, if you look at the producer of sugarcane, we have Brazil, India, Thailand, China, USA as the major producer. In India, most of the sugarcane produced, it is actually processed in an jaggery is processed into jaggery, we can say, and the remaining it is processed into white sugar or khanda and khandasari. White sugar and khandasari. In India, important states that produce or cultivate sugarcane is Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Jharkhand, Punjab, Haryana. Mostly states that enjoys warm type of climate and adequate rainfall. So after sugarcane, we have rubber as commercial crop. So rubber, it is obtained from the sap or latex of a particular rubber tree. And its scientific name is Heve brasiliensis. Okay, it is mostly found in equatorial forest. And rubber, it is used to manufacture different products like tire, insulating, waterproofing, a tube, and other many products. If you look at the climatic condition required for rubber plantation, Temperature should be around 27 degrees Celsius. Rainfall more than 150 centimeter. Okay, and it should be well distributed throughout the year, uniformly distributed. When we talk about the soil, it should be fertile and well drained. Okay, there should be no water logging or stagnant water. It is harmful for the tree. A lot of manual labor is also required, as we can see here in the picture, in order to extract rubber from or we can say sap or latex from the tree. Important countries that produces rubber includes India, Sri Lanka, Nigeria, Liberia, Cambodia, Vietnam and Brazil. And when we talk about India, Kerala is the leading rubber producing states in India. So after commercial crops, we have fiber crops. Firstly, we have cotton. So what is cotton? It is a natural fiber that is obtained from the cotton plant. Okay, and if you look at the climatic condition that is required for cotton plantation, frost-free period, plenty of sunshine and moderate rainfall. That means frost is harmful to cotton. Soil has to be fertile, okay, which can actually retain moisture, and black soil is very much suitable for cotton cultivation. And during the ripening of cotton balls, sunny weather, clear sky is required. If you look at the leading producer of cotton, we have China and India as the leading producer. Apart from China and India, we also have Pakistan, Brazil, Egypt, Sudan, Mexico, Uzbekistan. So these are the countries that produces cotton. In India, Maharashtra, Gujarat, Andhra Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh are the major cotton producing countries and cotton producing states in India, because these states, they experiences tropical wet and dry climate, which is very much favorable for cotton cultivation. After cotton, we have jute. So jute, it is a long shiny vegetable fiber which is processed and converted into coarse strong thread, and it is also known as golden fiber. Jute is also known as golden fiber, and it is used to manufacture carpet, rugs, tarpaulin, rope, strings and many other products. If you look at the climatic condition required for cultivation of jute, temperature between 24 to 35 degrees Celsius, high humidity and rainfall between 170 to 200 centimeter, should be uniformly distributed. When we talk about the soil, fertile, loamy and well drained soil is very much important for jute cultivation. One thing we should notice, jute, it is a labor intensive crop because it requires huge amount of labor in planting, harvesting and obtaining fiber. And top producing countries, Bangladesh lead in the top as a top jute producing country, and in India, West Bengal, Assam, Odisha, Bihar and Chhattisgarh are the important states that produce jute in India. So after commercial crops, we have beverage crop. In beverage crop, we have tea. So tea, it is prepared from the leaves of the tea plant. It is one of the most popular beverage in the world. When it comes to the climate, moderately hot and humid climate is favorable, and climate plays a very important role in yield, distribution and the quality of the tea leaves. When it comes to the soil, well drained fertile soil is necessary. There should be no water stagnant, and tree plant, they can grow as tall as 16 meters, but it is mostly at the waist height. It is pruned so that the plucking of tea leaves can be easy. And if you look at the top tea producing countries, China leads in tea production, followed by India and other countries like Japan, Kenya, Indonesia and Sri Lanka. So these are the top tea producing countries in the world. After tea, we have coffee. Again, coffee is a very popular beverage in the world. Okay, it is brewed or it is prepared from the seeds of the coffee plant. Okay, we can also say coffee beans or the seeds of the coffee plant. This coffee beans, it is mostly dried and brewed to obtain coffee, and if you look at the climatic condition required for the coffee cultivation, temperature between 15 to 28 degrees Celsius throughout the year is very favorable, and rainfall between 150 to 200 centimeter is favorable for the coffee cultivation. Volcanic soil and well drained hill slope is also favorable for cultivation of coffee. If you look at the major producer of coffee, Brazil, Colombia, Indonesia, Mexico, Ethiopia, these are the leading coffee producer. In India, Karnataka is the leading producer of coffee. So now let us discuss the last topic of the chapter, agriculture development. Okay, so India, from being the nation that had to import food in order to feed its population, to becoming self-sufficient, and not only self-sufficient, today India is also exporting many crops to different parts of the country. So as we can see, agriculture in India has developed substantially. Agriculture is one of the important means of livelihood for more than half of the population, 2/3 of the population in India. And this increase in agriculture production can be attributed to many factors like increase in area under cultivation, extension of irrigation facilities, use of high yielding variety of seeds, better techniques, machinery, and so on. So all these factors had led to the increase in agricultural production in India. So now let us see the condition of average farm in India. Firstly, the size is very small. This is due to inheritance of property and division of the area of land between different generations. Land is intensively cultivated as more than 2-3 crops are grown annually. Most of the farmers in India, their produce is for sustenance, and there is very little amount of surplus that is sold in the market. It is not mechanized farming in India, and still today traditional equipment, tools are used in farming. There is limited use of chemical fertilizers, pesticides, high yielding variety of seeds. It is because due to maybe lack of awareness or due to poverty, or farmers they cannot afford to buy all these products. There is little development when it comes to pastoral farming or mixed farming, since most of the land in the farm is used for production of food crops, and there is very less amount of land that is dedicated for cultivation of fodder. As such, animals in the farm are mostly fed farm waste. Okay, farmers managing the farm, they lack knowledge, so it is necessary to upgrade their level of education and awareness. Many farmers they cannot afford cold storage. As a result, farmers who actually grows perishable food like fruits or vegetables, they have to sell their product very we can say quickly, so that those produce do not get spoiled. As a result, they do not get good price for their products. Lastly, government is now taking many constructive steps and positive steps in order to improve the condition of farmers and farm in India. Loans are being provided in which farmers can take the loan and can use the loan money to buy tube well, pumps, tractors, better seeds, fertilizers. Also, the government is also guaranteeing farmers the minimum price for their produce. So, this is the condition of average farm in India. So, now let us discuss the average condition or average farm in USA. Firstly, the size. The size of the average farm in US is very huge, more than 500 acres. Extensive farming is practiced. As a result, a single crop is grown annually and extensively. Agriculture is commercial as such, since the land is very huge, there is huge surplus which is again sold in the market. Farm, it is highly mechanized, or farming is done highly in very mechanized way. Labor intensive method is very rare, since the land or the size of the farm is very huge. Mostly machines are used, okay, and labor is very less required. High yielding varieties, chemicals, fertilizer, pesticides, all these things are used in agriculture process. As a result, production is also huge, or surplus is also very huge. Animal that is raised, it is done through scientific method. Okay, so mixed farming is also very common in the farms of USA, where crops and animal both are reared and cultivated in the same farm. The farm is managed by well educated and farmers who are aware of the latest technology. As such, they use latest technology and machine in farming. As a result, huge surplus is produced. So now let us discuss few important points that we have discussed in this chapter. Economic activities, it can be classified into 3 types: primary, secondary and tertiary. Agriculture, it is a primary activity and it involves cultivating crops as well as rearing animals. Factors that influence agriculture include climatic conditions, soil fertility, relief. These are all physical factors. On the other hand, labor, market, finance and traditions, these are all human factors. If we categorize farming, we have different type of farming like shifting cultivation, nomadic herding, intensive farming, extensive farming, mixed farming, plantation agriculture. So these are the different types of farming which comes under subsistence as well as commercial farming. Food crops, rice, wheat, maize and millets. These are the major food crops. We have then commercial crops, sugarcane and rubber. Cotton and jute, they are important fiber crops. Tea and coffee, they are important beverage crops. In India, agriculture provides livelihood to more than 2/3 of the population. Okay, and in India, mostly intensive subsistence farming is practiced. On the other hand, in USA, extensive type of agriculture, highly mechanized agriculture is practiced, and it is highly commercial with a single motive of earning profit by selling crops. So with this, I conclude the chapter. I hope this lecture was able to clear your doubt, and we will again meet in our next lecture. Thank you.